Hey everyone, this is Eureka Math Grade 4, Module 1, Lesson 7. And in this lesson, what we're going to be doing is rounding multi-digit numbers to the thousands place using a vertical number line to help us out. So let's hop in and take a look at number 1, where it asks us to round to the nearest thousand and use a number line to model your thinking. So here we're going to be rounding to the nearest thousand. Now, when we're rounding, we're looking for, which number is going to be closest to this given amount, which thousand, more specifically, is going to be closest to this given amount. So for letter A, the number that we're asked to round is 6,700. Now, when we're rounding and it tells us what place value to round to, again, in this case, the thousands place, the first thing we want to do is identify which digit is in that specific place value. So we're looking for which digit is in the thousands place. In the case of letter A, the number 6 is in the thousands place. So on this vertical number line, we're always going to put this amount of thousands down here at the bottom. So this would give us 6,000 down here. Now this number up here is the next thousand. So if we were counting by thousands, what would come after 6,000? The next number would be 7 in the thousands place to make 7,000. Now this number in between is going to still be the same amount of thousands, which is 6, but now we're going to have some amount of hundreds because we're envisioning this as like a vertical number line. So here's 6,000. Here in between is all the numbers in between 6,000 and 7,000. Now this halfway point here is going to be 5 in the hundreds place. We're going to really be using this number 5 quite a bit. So that's the halfway point between 0 in the hundreds here. And we can imagine this as like 10 hundreds, which would give us this next 1,000 to make 7,000. So 6,500 is here in the middle. So what we need to do is we need to determine where 6,700 would be on this vertical number line. And really, we're just looking in two places. Would it be here above 6,500, so in between 6,500 and 7,000, or would it be down here between 6,000 and 6,500? So the key here is to take a look at your amount of hundreds. In our provided number in letter A, we have a 7 in the hundreds place, and that would be above 6,500. So 6,700 would probably be like right here. So since we are above this halfway point, it tells us that we're going to, we would say, round up to the next amount of thousands, which would be 7,000. You kind of already do the hard part when you label your vertical number line. So 6,700 rounded to the nearest thousand would be 7,000. Let's try another example here with letter B with the number 9,340. Again, we need to label our vertical number line. First thing we want to do is identify which digit is in the thousands place. In this case, it's a 9. So just this amount of thousands is our lowest possible number that this could round to. So 9,000, and then again, this number up here is the next amount of thousands. So if I was counting by thousands, after 9,000 would come 10,000. And we need to identify what number is here in the middle. Again, we are taking this same amount of thousands, the lower amount of thousands. In this case, it's 9. And we're going to use the number 500. 9,500 is halfway between 9,000 and 10,000. So now we're going to come back over to our provided number, and we're going to look at our hundreds place. And that's going to help us determine whether or not we're in this section here or we're in this section here. So 9,000 and a 3 in the hundreds place. Well, a 3 in the hundreds place is less than this 5 in the hundreds place down here. So 9,340 would be in this section here. No, maybe about right there. So 9,340 would go here. Now, since we're in this lower section, below that halfway point of 9,500, we would say we round down to the amount of thousands provided. We don't deduct 1,000 down to 8,000. We just stick with the amount of thousands we have. So in this case, 9,340 would round down to 9,000. C and D get a little bit more tricky because we have now some 10,000s in these examples. Don't get tripped up because we don't change the amount of 10,000s unless, of course, we have a 9, which we're going to see over here in letter D. So this 1 in the greater place value is really just coming along for a ride, as I like to say. So in this case, we're rounding 16,401 to the nearest thousand. Again, identify which digit is in your thousands place. In this case, it's the 6. So this whole number 16 is going to come down here as this amount of thousands. And we kind of change all of these other digits in the hundreds, tens, and ones place down to a 0. So 16,000 is my lower number, and then the next amount of thousands is my higher number. So after 16,000 would be 17,000. And here in the middle would be 16,000, and then that number 5 in the hundreds place. So 16,500. Again, this is the number directly in the middle of 16,000 and 17,000. So we need to go back to our original number, 16,401, and we're looking at the next smallest place value, which is hundreds. In this case, we have 4 hundreds. So 4 hundreds, is that less than this 500 number, or is it greater? Well, 4 in the hundreds is less than 5 in the hundreds. So 16,400 is kind of close to the midway point, but it's still below 16,401. And again, since we're below this halfway point, we would round down to the provided amount of thousands, which is 16,000. Letter D over here is a little bit tricky because now we have that 9 in our thousands place. So again, identify the digit in your place value you're rounding to. We have a 9 in our thousands, so 39,000 is my low number. 39,000 is going down here. And if I were counting by thousands, after 39,000 would come the number 40,000. So we would usually say, bump up this thousands place up by 1, like a 6 to a 7 here in letter D. But since we have a 9 here, we have to look at our 10,000s place. So 39,000, the 1,000 after that would be 40,000. Halfway between 39,000 and 49,000 would be 39,000 and that 5 in the hundreds place. Okay, I'm going to go back to my original number, and I have 39,545. Well, we have the same amount of hundreds here, but then I need to look at my next smallest place value, in this case, the tens. So 39,545 is just above 39,500. So it might be, in terms of this vertical number line, it's going to be just above. But since it is just above 39,500, we would say we round up to the next amount of thousands, which makes 40,000. This symbol here, this like sort of wavy equal sign, really just means about. So 39,545 is about 40,000, saying that we would round up. If we're rounding to the nearest thousand, it is closer to 40,000 than it is 39,000, just barely. This one here is a little bit tricky too, because now we have 10,000s as well as 100,000s. Process stays exactly the same though. Identify the digit in the thousands place. In this case, it's a 9. So these two digits are really just along for the ride, and we're going to keep this amount of thousands the same as my low number, which would be 399,000. Now, what's the 1,000 that comes after 399,000? It's a little bit tricky, but this would be 400,000. Okay. In between 399,000 and 400,000 would be 399,000, same amount of thousands, but just with 5 extra hundreds. And now we need to identify, where would this be? Would it be in this upper section, or would we be looking in this lower section? So 399,499 is actually the number just before 399,000. It would be like as close to this little hash mark that we can get without actually being there. So probably about like right here, I mean, as close as you can possibly get, would be 399,499. This 5 is greater than this 4, which means that we're looking down here in this lower section, and we would be rounding down to 399,000. So 399,499 is close to 300. It's closer to 399,000 than it is to the next thousand, which would be 400,000. Here we have 840,007 being rounded, so we have a 0 in this thousands place. So the 8 and the 4 are really just coming along for the ride. So 840,000 is my lower thousand, and the next thousand would be next. So we just add 1 to this digit here to make 800. Oops. To make 841,000. So halfway in between 840,000 and 841,000 is 840,000 and 5 extra hundreds. Now, where would this number be on my number line? Is it closer to 840,000 or is it closer to 841,000? Well, I have a 0 here in the number being rounded, and I just only have 7 ones. So that is just barely above 840,000. In reality, it would be much closer, but 840,007 would be super, super, super close to this number. Again, we're in this bottom section. We're far below this halfway point. So since we are below that halfway point of 840,500, we would round down to 840,000. Word problems. Number 2 says a pilot wanted to know about, and when we see this word about in a word problem, that's a really good indication that we're going to have to estimate or round. So be on the lookout for that word about. Pilot wanted to know about how many kilometers he flew on his last 3 flights. From NYC, which is New York City, from New York City to London, he flew 5,572 kilometers. So that was one trip. So trip 1, he flew 5,572 kilometers. That's going to be one of the numbers I need to round. Then from London to Beijing, he flew 8,174 kilometers. That's the second trip. So trip 2, he flew 8,147 kilometers. Finally, he flew 10,996 kilometers from Beijing back to New York City. So that's the third trip. So trip 3, 10,996 kilometers from Beijing back to New York City. Here's some more directions. Round each number to the nearest 1,000. Okay, so that's good. It tells me exactly what place value to round to. And then find the sum of the rounded numbers to estimate about how many kilometers the pilot flew. So in addition to rounding all of these 3 numbers, we have to round each of these numbers. And then, since it asks for the sum, we need to add them all up. Okay, let's start by rounding first. 5,572. So if I'm going to use that vertical number line like I practiced on the last slide, I have to determine these three spots. The low number I would round to, the higher number I could possibly round to, and then this number in the middle that's just going to help me out. So we start by looking at how many thousands are provided. In this case, 5,572. So 5,000 is my low number. The thousand after that is 6,000. Again, just one more from that thousands place. And halfway is the lower amount of thousands and 500. Now, where would this number, 5,572, fall on this vertical number line? Well, I have 5,000s, and then I have a 7 in my tens place. So I'm going to be just above 5,500, maybe about like right there, to make 5,572. And since I'm in this upper section here, I'm above that halfway point, I'm going to round to 6,000. So 5,572 rounded to nearest thousand is about 6,000. Let's try another vertical number line over here for trip 2. And I have 8,174. So again, identify that digit in your thousands place, which is an 8. So this 8,000 is going to be my low number. What is the next thousand after that? Will be my high number, which is 9,000. And halfway between 8,000 and 9,000 is 8,000, but with those 5 extra hundreds. 500. So where would 8,147 be on this number line? We would be just above 8,000 because again, I'm looking at this number in my hundreds place and comparing it to the 5 in the hundreds over here, my halfway number. So since 100 is less than 500, I'm going to be just above 8,000 and I'm in this lower section here. So since I'm in this lower section, that tells me I'm going to, we say, round down to 8,000. So 8,147 rounded to the nearest thousand is about 8,000. Come down here for trip 3. So trip 3, we have 10,996. So we have we have a digit here in the 10,000s place. No big deal. So again, I'm going to use a vertical number line here for number 3. Identify the digit in the thousands place, which in this case is a 0. Again, these digits in the larger place values are just coming along for the ride. So we could maybe have 10,000. And then the next 1,000 after 10,000 is 11,000. Halfway between 10,000 and 11,000 is 10,500. So where does 10,996 lie on this number line? Well, we have a 0 in the thousands place, but we're looking at our hundreds where we have a 9 compared to this 5 here. So 10,996 is going to be greater than 10,500, so we're probably going to land somewhere around here. This is going to be where 10,996 is, so we're in the upper section. And since we're in this upper section here, we round up to 11,000. So 10,996 is about 11,000. So those are those 3 numbers rounded to the nearest thousand, but I'm not done because it asks us to find the sum of the rounded numbers to estimate about how many kilometers the pilot flew really in all. So we're going to add 6,000 plus 8,000 plus 11,000. So 6,000 plus 8,000 is 14,000. Just did 8 plus 6 in my thousands place, which is 14. And then I'm going to take that sum, which is 14,000, and add it to trip 3's amount of 11,000. Add those. 0. 4 plus 1 is 5, and 1 plus 1 is 2. to make 25,000. So we can say, all in all, say the pilot flew about, again, that about means, an estimated amount, 25,000 kilometers in all 3 trips. Number 3 says for the I'm sorry, not 2023, 2013-2014 school year, the cost of tuition at Cornell University was $43,000. It was about $43,000 when rounded to the nearest thousand. So this is really like, this time they're really like giving us the answer. And it asks, what's the greatest possible amount the tuition could be? And what's the least possible amount the tuition could be? So really what that question is, when thinking about it a little bit differently, is what's the greatest number? Let me see this first. What's the smallest number that would round to 43,000? And the second part is, what is the greatest number that would round to 43,000? I'm going to try again to use a vertical number line to illustrate this. So if we have 43,000, which is the amount of the tuition here, let's say it's the smallest number. And we have our next greatest, which would be 44,000. And we put our middle amount, which would be 43,500. How would I round to 43,000? What's the greatest number here? Well, I need to get as close to this halfway point as I possibly can without going over. Because remember, any number that falls within this lower section here is going to round down to 43,000. So I can't have this 5 here, because if I have this number, then I would round up. So the next smallest number that would round down would be 43,000. But then I need a 4 in my hundreds place. And then the largest digits in my tens and ones would be 9s. So if the actual amount was $43,499, we would accurately round that down to 43,000. But in the next case, rather than 43,000 being my low number, 43,000 is going to be my high number. And we're going to put 42,000 down here. So again, this halfway point would be 42,500. And I can really just leave that as is, because when we have that 5 in the hundreds place, we're going to round up. So again, any number, including this middle point number and above, would round up to 43,000. So here are my 2 answers. Okay, I could either have 43,499 would round to 43,000. Should actually say 43,499 is the greatest number that would round to 43,000. And 42,500 is the smallest or the least number that would round to 43,000.